Welcome to the podcast, folks. We're diving into this fascinating discussion titled Chinese Banks Say What from TIO Talks 14, featuring Warwick Powell and Yan Liang. It's a deep exploration into global monetary dynamics.
I'm excited to unpack this. It really goes through some impressive territory, from the history of the global monetary system right up to institutional reforms, right?
Exactly. And it's like the video starts with a crisp intro, setting the stage, and then jumps into the history of the global monetary system, which really gives context to what's going on with these Chinese
Right.
banks.
Yeah, the way they frame history, it's almost like they're telling a story that stretches back decades, isn't it? They mark the timeline with key events that shaped the modern monetary order.
Absolutely. And what's really engaging is how they connect that history to the status of the US dollar. At around the 604 mark, the discussion zooms in on the dollar's role, both as the world's reserve currency and as a symbol of financial influence.
Right. It's like the US dollar is almost portrayed as this massive force that's been dictating international finance for years. But do you think that perspective might oversimplify the complexities behind the currency's global dominance?
I get what you mean. It's a bit streamlined for clarity, but it works well for audience engagement. They highlight, from another angle, the diversification chapter that really kicks in around 1851. This segment is all about how economies are trying to hedge their bets and move a little away from dollar dependency.
Yep. And that diversification discussion is really key, right? It's like, banks are modernizing their strategies, moving towards multi currency reserves to safeguard against potential shocks.
Exactly. And then there's the part about the real economy and financialization at around 2933. This section digs deep, talking about how far removed finance can be from the tangible aspects of production. I mean, it's thought provoking how they contrast the real economy with abstract financial instruments.
Yeah, it really makes you reflect. For sure. And that is where you see a lot of debate. One could argue that sometimes it seems too black and white. Like, are they, well, perhaps overemphasizing financialization at the cost of recognizing the value in financial innovation?
That's a fair critique. There's a balance to maintain. And yes, the conversation touches on that. It then smoothly transitions to institutional reform around 3548. This part discusses how reforms could potentially recalibrate the relationship between banks and the real economic system, making institutions more sustainable.
I like that part because it poses the question, are current reforms enough to counteract systemic issues? It's a bit like saying that the cake could be sweeter if you adjust the recipe, right?
Yep, absolutely. And it's important to note that the speakers, Warwick and Yan, bring in a nuanced perspective there, talking about the need for, recalibrating policies rather than overhauling
Right,
everything
thoughtful
overnight.
innovation rather than radical change. And then the video wraps up with an outro at around 45:09, tying the themes together. It's like a call to action for policymakers to rethink global strategies as Chinese banks make bold moves.
Precisely. The outro leaves us with a lot to ponder. I mean, the interplay between historical context, the might of the US dollar, diversification, and the shift towards real economy versus financial abstraction is so layered. It gives a comprehensive picture of where global finance might be headed.
Yeah, I agree. One thing that really stood out was how the conversation interweaves historical trends with modern shifts. It raises the question, if innovation continues at this pace, will we see a major realignment in global power structures?
That's a great question. It's like, if we think of the global monetary system as a giant, evolving ecosystem, then any significant change in one part, say the behavior of Chinese banks, can send shockwaves through the entire system.
True. But I do wonder if sometimes the analogies can, oversimplify the interplay between these complex financial elements. There's always more nuance beneath the surface.
Absolutely. And I think that's where Warwick and Yan's expertise comes in. They provide just enough detail to invite deeper thought while not getting too bogged down in minutiae. It's a balancing act, really.
Right. It sure is. And the fact that the video is structured with clear chapter markers from the historical context to successive themes like the US dollar, diversification, real economy, and institutional reform, really makes it easier for the listener to follow the narrative.
Exactly. It's like a roadmap through the maze of modern finance. And the production quality, with the seamless transitions between sections, makes the content that much more digestible.
Yep. I also appreciate that the video makes connections to current global events, hinting at the potential implications for the future of monetary policy and economic stability worldwide. It gives the whole discussion a very timely edge.
Oh, for sure. The timing is perfect, considering global debates about currency hegemony are more relevant than ever. It's like, the narrative of economic power is shifting bit by bit.
And with the way global markets are evolving, especially with the rise of digital currencies, this analysis might even serve as a forewarning or a call for adaptive strategies.
Right, it's like a conversation at the intersection of legacy systems and emerging trends. The insights here are not only interesting historically, but also relevant as a guide for future financial policy making.
Exactly. So, wrapping it up, it's a compelling piece that challenges us to rethink established norms while also respecting the history that got us here. It's an invitation to look forward, to anticipate change, and maybe even to question whose interests are being served.
Yes, exactly. Providing a critical, thought-provoking dialogue on where global finance has been and where it might be headed. And that, to me, is what makes this discussion so riveting.
Certainly. Well, thanks for this deep dive. It's been quite the journey from historical reflection through diversified strategies and onto the future of reform. It's been enlightening.
Absolutely. Thanks for tuning in, everyone. We hope this exploration gives you plenty to think about as you consider the rapidly evolving landscape of global finance.